So, Yilly, thank you so much for being on the podcast, being Black in Britain. I'm really excited to just hear a little bit about what you've been up to since we last spoke, what's going on, what's new, and what's coming up for you. But yeah, honestly, thank you for giving us your time and thank you for choosing to share your journey with us. Could you start by introducing yourself, who you are, so we know who we're speaking with?
Right. Yilly Ruel, my name. Rapper, songwriter, composer. Been doing music for quite a bit, but only now really getting the grips of what it's really like to try and enter the industry.
Right.
So yeah, I think I've been doing music like serious in the proper way, like for the past 4 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to exploring that journey in just a moment. I guess my first question, though, before we get there, is why did you choose to go down this route of exploring music and expressing yourself through the arts?
I've always loved music, movement.
Okay.
So as a child, I was the type of person to always like, those little kids who are always like dancing around
Yeah.
and singing every single song.
Yeah.
I'll sing all those old, I don't know if you know those like CDs with 50 romantic songs. You know?
I
My
remember
dad
those.
used to travel a lot at that time, and he used to bring a lot of those.
Yeah.
So I used to sing without knowing the words. I
Right.
speak Portuguese originally, so it was interesting. But then I think I always wanted to try and give it a try to music, but I never had a chance because it was always the idea of you need to go to a big studio. So a friend of mine introduced me to this software called some people call it
Audacity.
Audacity. Other people say
Audacity.
Audacity.
That takes me back.
So yeah. So that's literally how. From that day, I think it was back in 2011.
Okay.
From that day onwards, I've been doing music ever since.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how has that been in terms of from education into employment and kind of stepping into that? Because I was fine, and I'll say this from my own personal perspective, that to pursue a career in music coming from a Black African household probably wouldn't have been taken too well, because perhaps at that time I didn't see, or it wasn't kind of presented to us that there were pathways to follow or opportunities to follow, as well as you'd, be a teacher, be a doctor, be a lawyer, the very traditional roles that were seen as legitimate jobs.
Yeah.
So what was your sort of education into career journey, and even like maybe the conversations at home as to how you arrived there?
It was tough.
Okay.
It was tough. I think it's not an ending process until you show result.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. But when I started doing music, it was actually fine because my parents would see as it's just something that he does on the side.
On the side. Okay.
Yeah. So when I was small, before I even started recording, we used to do these things of organizing small shows where I would impersonate like an artist,
Right.
and perform in front of my parents.
Right.
But then when I started recording my own songs, I think it got tricky when I was about to come here, because I wanted to do something related to music in uni. I was about to do architecture.
Right.
Yeah, so it was tough. It got to a point where my dad was like, once you go to the UK, you better forget about music. That was like, oof, there was
Forget
a shot.
about music.
Yeah. He literally, he was
Sounds bad.
upset because he was upset because I had I lost my passport and we had to go through a process there.
Right.
But yeah, it was a shot. It was like, yo, this is what I really love, like expressing my feelings towards music. So then I was like, okay, I'm still gonna do music, but I'll just not say anything. But I was doing like foundation, and I had to have a tough conversation because I wasn't gonna study architecture. I told him, like, if I really do start this, I can put my time, invest my. I'm a good student, never been a problem to my parents at all. That's why they never really bugged me. They never really came after me as much regarding music.
Right.
But at that point, I was like, I need to make a stand. Otherwise, I'll be doing something that I don't want, and he's the one paying for it. You want to see value in your money.
Right.
So I had a tough conversation with him, and he accepted. I graduated in audio music production.
Okay.
But from there, still doesn't end the process, though.
Yeah.
He still wants to see that coming back at a point, you know.
Okay. Let's develop on that storyline a little bit there. So where were you coming from to come to the UK?
I'm Angolan. I'm from Angola.
So you're coming from Angola.
Yeah.
So you would have been coming to the UK as an international student.
Yeah.
And you're choosing which subject you wish to study.
Yeah.
You want to study music, and parents are saying architecture. Did they choose, or did they tell you that it was supposed to be architecture?
No, they didn't. They didn't choose. It was always something in the area of engineering.
Okay.
So I was the child who was jumping from course to course.
Okay.
The idea, I was like, oh, I want to be a mechanical engineer. I want to be an electronic engineer. I want to be this and that. Because the only place that I felt home was music, always. Right. So I chose architecture. I was like, I did art in high school.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's technical drawing, can't be that bad. So I was like, okay, I'm going to choose to do that. Yeah.
I find that really interesting, the amount of young people that have maybe been pressured or coerced into a certain life decision that wasn't in their heart of hearts. Because I feel like there's a lot of an internal conflict there where you're doing something because there's an expectation for you to do so, but your heart is not in it. And you're not doing it with your whole self.
Yeah.
You're doing it to please and to satisfy those that are expecting something from you. But I guess my question there was, what was that journey like at the beginning? That weird transition where you've chosen to do what you wanted to do, knowing that there may be some contention around that. What was that like?
You mean like choosing architecture?
Yeah, well, deciding to then move to study music production.
I think it's, what's the word? Introspection? Is that a word?
Yeah.
You need to look within.
Yeah.
You need to find where are your strengths and where are your weaknesses. I'm very creative. So I think I can thrive anywhere creatively if I put my mind and my effort to it. I'm also good at maths. I could have done maths. I'll probably be a good mathematician.
Yeah.
But I think choosing, it came, for me, it was an easy decision. I wanted to do music. The hardest part was really to try and convince the parents that this is the journey. This is where I want to go.
And how did you convince? Or have you convinced them yet?
I don't think so yet.
Okay, so that's still a journey.
I don't think so. I think it's still part of the process. They calm down when you have a safe job.
Yeah.
You know? But if they see you in still like going in they want to see when you're in a safe place, they want you to be there because that's all they know as well, you know, security. And I've never been that person. I think out of my brothers, I'm the one who is always like, I'm the black sheep. I want to go where my mind tells me, where my heart tells me to go.
Okay.
So I think it's a learning process, and parents only accept when they see an outcome. Literally.
It's results, isn't it? It's if you're doing something that hasn't been done before within that immediate circle, there is definitely a lot of fear and anxiety around that. What will he become? What will become of this?
Yeah.
Because it's the untraditional route that you've chosen, I guess, in your family line.
How
long will it last? So there's a lot of questions there. Yeah. I guess my question to you in that sense is, how do you ensure that you are pursuing this because this is your passion, this is where you wish to sort of pour in? How do you ensure that you're not doing everything you're doing to prove a point that, yeah, I'm doing it right, yes, I'm succeeding, even though nobody believed it or maybe everyone doubted it, I'm doing this and I'm doing it well and I'm doing it right. How do you kind of navigate that? Because I feel like it will always be at the back of one's mind if there has been a bit of a hesitation and doubt from the people that you care about.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate that? It's difficult.
Yeah. It is tough to really balance those thoughts on how to. You mean like how to be comfortable with yourself and also convincing that this is it's hard. I think essentially, you just need to stay true to what you believe in and what you want to do. Be focused.
Focus.
You know, determined. You know, sometimes I sleep late just really trying to work myself through, because you have your 9 to 5 and then you have your other 9 to 5. That's basically how
your
I
9
see
to
it.
5, then you got your 5 to 9.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's literally what I do. So just staying focused and really work towards it, because it's really hard. It's really easy to stop doing it. Some people get to a point where if they find a position where they're comfortable, they're gonna be like, yeah, I'm just gonna lay back and be right here. Your parents are not on your back anymore because you found something stable. But in my mind is, what do I want to be as a person? What legacy do I want to leave? Do I want to wake up tomorrow when I'm around like 40 and be like some of my, you know, let's say some of my uncles and even parents be like, oh, you know, when I was at your age, I also wanted to do this and I had to abdicate. I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
I want to be the person who says to my kids or anyone who's after me that I've worked on what I wanted to do, and I did what I wanted to.
Yeah.
Even if you don't, I think essentially, even if there's no percentage that you won't succeed if you don't put your mind towards something. I think if you fail, but you say that you really wanted that thing, you didn't really want it. If you want it that bad, you really need to go forward.
Yeah.
So essentially, that's just my thought.
Yeah.
That's how I go about it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I definitely agree with the need to focus on what you want, where you want to be, and pouring everything into it.
Yeah.
Can we talk about your music then? So you identified right at the beginning as an artist, rapper, composer. So as a musician collectively, what is it that you communicate through your music? Are you telling a story? Are you writing and producing to entertain? What's the purpose and the content of your music?
I think my music is more about I put my feelings out there, what I think, what I believe in, my journey as a person. I think I actually put a song out today. God bless the kid, and
nice.
I mean, by the time this is
It'll
out,
be in the description
it's
below.
gonna be somewhere there. Go watch it. Listen to it. But the video is coming up too. Anyways, there's a plug there.
Shameless.
What I think essentially, for example, this song is really my introspection on where I want to be, and you know what will I do to stay a course, you know, to stay on the path. And my music is really about that. I'm also a storyteller, so it's not only I'm not that selfish. So I really embrace other people's stories. That's what I really enjoy, and try to combine into something that may be relatable to someone else who's going to listen to it. So I don't really focus on it's really good when there's a lot of people listening to it, but I really like when somebody comes back to me and they're like, yo, you know, that song that you put out, it really touched me that way. And I have people who come back to me. I've been putting songs since 2011. So I have people who have gone back to my old songs and they're like, bro, you really wrote this. And it touched me in that way. So that's what I'm moved by. Yeah, that's what my music is really about.
No, I like that. And can you point to, I know you said you're a storyteller. Can you point to any of the songs that you've put out there and maybe share a little bit about the context or the story that is being shared through that particular song?
Right. So one that does come to mind is, so back in 2017,
Okay.
I had like a really tough year, you know, and the song is actually titled Tough Year.
Okay.
It's on SoundCloud, and it was a snippet of like what my year was around that time.
Right.
And I lost my grandma around that time. I lost like a lot of people. So it was really tough to try and compose something in that nature. But yeah, sometimes as an artist, that's like your way of relieving yourself.
Okay.
So you put it on paper. You're like, oh, it's out there. Okay, let me move on. Or, I'll find a new way now to deal with things. People have different ways to deal with it. As an artist, mine is music. So if I'm going through something, music will be the way that I'll express it.
Right,
So, yeah.
right. It almost sounds like there's as though that kind of songwriting and producing process is a form of therapy for you in terms of processing life events.
Yeah. So the interesting part about an artist or about myself is I enjoy the writing process. I enjoy the mixing, everything. Once it's ready, I mean, for a song, it's never really final. But once it's ready and it's out there, it's just that of let me work on something else.
Yeah.
Because you already put it out to the world.
Yeah.
I enjoy the process, composing those stories, making sure that am I really telling is the person on the other side really going to relate to this, to what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Am I conveying the word correctly? So that's what I really like.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one, because I've seen that you've produced some things in English. You've produced some of your music in
Portuguese.
Yeah. How does that work, and why have you done that?
So my official language in Angola is Portuguese. So I've always wanted to do music in English.
Okay.
Because global reach, you know. But there's an aspect of Portuguese that I really like. It's I think I'm more open when I write my Portuguese songs, so I'll never leave it.
Right.
But English it became like it became something that I really wanted, and then it turned out to be also a love. So I really live in this bilingual world, So before I write a song, I always have this thing of deciding which language am I going to go for. So I go for whatever I feel is right. And it's just, I'll say there's just like a switch button that goes like Portuguese, English. And,
do you find that there are some words that sound better or are better expressed in Portuguese than in English, or maybe are better expressed in sounds better in English than in Portuguese?
Some stories are way better to be told in Portuguese.
Right.
It's more relatable.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm also trying to learn my mother tongue, which is Kimbundo.
Right.
So I try to incorporate that into my art as well.
Interesting. I guess it's really interesting because obviously you've got that Portuguese audience, you've got your international audience, the English-speaking audience. Yeah. So it's really interesting how you're maybe shaping your music to reach different communities.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting and it's tough.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I have two different audiences. One doesn't understand the language of the other.
Yeah.
So I'm very limited as well on what am I going to give to the people. Where do I want to focus my attention on? Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever get to a point where you then have to choose your audience and just choose the one, or do you think you'd always give yourself the liberty of being able to choose how you switch between the languages?
Hopefully, I'll have the liberty to actually choose.
Okay.
But I want to be able to obviously focus on one, not like for a long time, but like for a period of time to accomplish one thing and then move to the other.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take that. Now, I just want to unpack something a little bit more, looking at you being a Black man in the UK. You've come as an international student. What year was that?
2018.
2018. What was that like, that transition into the UK, whether culturally, socially, stepping into a new space as an international student? You're still here, right?
Yeah.
Clearly there's something you're still here for.
Yeah.
What has that journey been like in terms of the ups, the downs, the challenges, the wins, how you've navigated the space?
So I already, the easy part is the language. Before I came to the UK, I did high school in Namibia, which is a neighboring country from Angola, just next.
Right.
So I did my high school over there, and from learning English, moving from there, it's also mixed culture. There's they're heavily influenced by the Germans and so forth. I actually live in a house of Europeans.
Right. Okay.
A European couple, which was lovely. I love them both. And that experience, I think it prepared me.
Okay.
So coming over here, I didn't feel out of place.
Okay.
So being in a house where you're the only, when I was in high school, when I was in Namibia, being in a house where you're the only Black person,
Yeah.
and your parents are white, it's a different culture. There's also those clashes, there's those learning curves.
Yeah.
So coming here, I felt like it was a normal thing. So I was in my course, for example, I was the only Black person doing audio music production.
Right. Okay.
And we were like 20 in the class. I didn't feel out of place. I felt like, okay, I'm just here to accomplish one thing, and I'm gonna get it done.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And did you feel like you were able to build a community around yourself from that sort of first year of university, or was that something that took a while to build, or is that something you are still building?
It's something that I'm still building. I think when I came, I got it easy because I have people who are already here. I have my brother.
Okay.
I have his wife. I had my nephew over there at the time. So, and they introduced me to the Angolan community over here. So,
right. Okay.
It was fairly easy to navigate. I think through music, with me doing music, it was also a way that really brought a lot of people together. We did a couple of things in accommodations here, like performing.
Right. Yeah.
We went to perform. I mean, we both went to Open Mic UK,
Open
right?
Mic UK.
And we went to the finals.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
that
was amazing. And through that process, to be honest, it was beautiful to see how my friends really had my back. They really paid the train ticket. They really bought the tickets to come see me.
Right.
Whether it was here in Liverpool, whether it was in Manchester, and even went
or to Academy in London.
In London, So it brought, I think, through music, I managed to bring a lot of people, a lot of my friends at least, together that I know today.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I guess so. While you are building this community around yourself and developing and continuing to refine this craftsmanship in the area of music production and writing, what's the goal really? Where do you see yourself? Is it about building a followership? Is it about producing a certain number of songs? Is it about building something? What does it look like?
I think generally, as an artist, you always get like the same answer. I want to be the biggest artist in the world. And so, but essentially what I want is show my culture.
Okay.
Represent my culture, represent myself, represent who I am as well.
Right.
So I'm also a mix of cultures.
Right.
As you see, like I grew up in Angola, lived in Namibia, now I'm here as well. So drinking from all these different type of places, all these different type of fountains really helped me become the person that I am today. Whether following the right path or not, but I think I want to express myself to the world. I want people to know where I came from and to know that it's not easy back there. It's not easy, and being in a privileged way to actually your parents investing in what is your education. I just want to be able to put that out there as motivation for people.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, to make sure that they are well taken care of. That's ultimately my goal.
No, I love that. That's a beautiful thing. You just suggested there that there were some hardships, that things weren't easy. What was it that wasn't easy?
Not being easy towards like this journey up to here. Well, we spoke about music, but I can speak about other things. I mean, you're going to a country where they only speak a different language. The slang, terminology, how they look at you. I found it tough when I was going to Namibia. I think Namibia really messed up my handshake move.
Really?
Yeah.
Handshake as in?
Yeah, the way you handshake, because when I was...
So it's not like...
So it depends. You go to a guy and he can greet you like, wait.
Okay, with the click.
Yeah, with the click, you know? Yeah. So they can,
I thought that was a Zim thing, to be fair.
Yeah. I think...
Is that just an African thing then? I need some clarity on this. I'm gonna have to ask somebody.
What?
But yeah, this one. When you
there's a lot. I can give you different ones. There's a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, in Angola it was always. I think in Angola it's like literally just this. Yeah, there's literally mostly like that, or like you hold him and you come close and that's it.
Yeah. So Namibia,
in Namibia they had like with the clicks and everything. So now I sometimes have that awkward moment where I'm like greeting a person.
Like,
I don't know what. I don't.
Do I
don't know what I'm gonna do.
I find that with a lot of different circles, because there's a lot of people that will just come in. I feel like in a professional corporate space, it's just a straight one. Yeah. But then in like informal social spaces, I feel like there's just a mix of something.
Yeah,
but it's different depending on who you're with.
It is. So
talk more of that. Okay, so what else did they do that kind of threw you off?
They're lovely. Come on. My experience in Namibia was beautiful. Okay. They have the most beautiful sunsets in the world.
Okay.
They do. But I think the bad parts around like this whole experience, I think it's being far from family as well. Okay. You know, in Namibia, I got a chance to actually go back to Angola every end of the year.
Right.
I was there for 4 years.
Right.
When I moved here, I haven't been to Angola yet. Wow. I've been here for almost 5 years, over 5 years, and I haven't had a chance to go back. I'm probably going back this year anyways, but it's tough, you know. So you feel that the lack of connection,
the disconnect.
Yeah. Not only towards family but towards friends and so forth. So it's really tough.
Do you think you'd ever see the UK as home, or do you think the goal is to eventually just take your whole body of work and just go back to Angola?
It's good you asked that question. I was speaking to my girlfriend, and I told her that I actually asked a question. Okay. I was like, if you ever felt, I didn't ask a question. I said, the hardest thing about living in different countries is that when you go home, it doesn't feel like home, but here it also doesn't feel like home. Yeah. So you're just comfortable somewhere, but you don't. Not home. Yeah, like here it's not home. And if I go back home, a lot of things have changed. You're not used to that routine anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and
because you find that your banter has changed, your intonation has changed. There's so much. It's all those micro interactions that make you feel like almost a stranger again.
You need to relearn a lot of things. So I think you'll never. I'm still struggling. I'm trying to. I mean, obviously, my aim is to definitely live in Angola.
Okay.
Definitely, like it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's the most beautiful. I've managed to travel to one of the provinces, Malange, where my dad was born.
Right.
And the whole journey there's like the most beautiful thing. Waterfalls. It's
nothing like the streets we're seeing down here.
Not trying to talk bad about the UK, but I really like natural, nature.
And
I'm really into it. So anything related to that, I love it. Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting one about that sense of belonging and a place that we get to call home.
Yeah.
It's a conversation that I seem to be having with quite a few people, really, especially those that are third culture kids, so those that have been born in the motherland and they've been raised in another country in those kind of formative years.
Yeah.
And like you've said, moved around. So you haven't been raised in your homeland. So it's almost like which one is home? So I look at myself being born in Zimbabwe. I've been in the UK since I was 2 years old. Yeah. But I know that
there's different stages.
There are different places to call home. So I can say that Zimbabwe is the motherland.
Yeah.
But I've spent so much time here that this place has become home. But then if I was to go home back to Zimbabwe and try to settle there, I would feel like a stranger in my motherland, because I'm so far removed from the culture, the fashion, the mannerisms, the lifestyle, that there is so much of a disconnect that it would take a lot of time to assimilate into that space again. So it's really interesting, that idea of belonging.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the good thing about always going back home is like they'll humble you real quick.
Yeah.
They're very humbling. Very
They spare
humbling.
nobody.
Yeah, so I like that experience.
Yeah.
I like that. So that's one thing I really like about Angola. I know if I go back, everything that I've learned over here, I need to forget.
Yeah.
Just go there as myself.
Yep.
And literally take day by day with how things go and learning. It's like a whole new learning curve. So yeah, it's an interesting thing.
I love that. Okay. Last question then. If you were to go back in time and speak to your younger self, having experienced all of this now, with the lens that you have now, what would you advise yourself? How would you encourage yourself?
This is like one of those podcast deep questions, right?
Yeah. Getting real deep before we go home.
I think, that's a tough one.
Maybe choose a particular moment in time that you wish you could have known better.
I took, I sometimes take time to reflect, and I'm like, if I really go back and I say, oh, maybe I should have done this or be like that, maybe I wouldn't be the person that I am today. So I would say take day by day. I think the more that I live and I see other people's experiences, I learned that you can't fix the past.
You can't.
You just need to live, and you can't predict the future as well. You can't plan the future. So all you know is today. So I think I would just keep doing what you do. Just be respectful towards others, which I believe I was. And, just keep striving for what you want. I don't think I did anything wrong.
Okay, so you've got no regrets in terms of your decision making.
Even the regrets that I've had, they taught me a lesson.
Okay.
So if you go and try to fix every single thing that you did wrong, then you can't really be perfect, know? So you need to, I know that I've made mistakes. I know that I still will make mistakes. So I literally just try to live day by day.
And we live to learn. We live to learn.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, Yilly, thank you so much for giving us your time. That's been really interesting to explore. And I can't wait to see your journey and how this music career evolves. Thank you for being honest and transparent about that journey, the fact that that you're still in that stage of pouring into it and developing and refining. They say it takes 10 years to blow. They say it takes 10 years to be an expert in anything. So we'll catch you in 6 more years
6 more.
when we reach the 10-year mark and see what that looks like. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.